A little while ago, I posted a video on here talking about the lens I got for £200 that made me over $1 million. And yes, that's an interesting video, but as many of you pointed out in the comments, that's great, Scott. It's on a really expensive camera system. This is the system. This is in its current iteration. I've been shooting on this since late last summer. But to get to that point, I didn't need all of this. I'm going to show you the actual camera and lens setup that made my career. It made me the photographer I am today. It got me my first agent. It got me my second agent. It got me several global campaigns. Now, this here, because someone's going to ask in the comments, this is my go-to. This is my squeeze. This is a GFX 100 megapixel camera, a Cambo MV, a Cambo Aktar 90mm f4, and I've been shooting with this setup specifically since about late summer. Prior to that, this has had a few iterations, different lenses, different camera bodies, different cambos, a whole smattering of stuff. Now, full transparency, the big bit of the camera here was given to me for free on loan. I don't actually own it. This bit here, this is just, I'm borrowing it. I do own my own one. Paul has it at the moment. The rest of it all paid for from my good self. Now, before we got to this point, I was a photographer for many, many years before YouTube, obviously. And I believe even when I started this YouTube channel, I was still shooting on this rig, but with a better lens. But this here is the £450 setup that my career was made on. This is a Canon, I never know what these gold ring ones are called. It's called a Canon macro lens EF 100mm 1 to 2.8 USM, which is the ultrasonic. And this is a 5D Mark II on the back of it. This is actually, and the reason I'm making this video today is because this camera is going away. This is 5D #1. I've shot more jobs on this camera and lens setup than anything else throughout my career. I spent over a decade on this rig. This camera here has great sentimental value. This is actually going to be put into a case. I say a case, I don't mean a case, do I mean like a frame? I'm going to have this framed on the wall like so. It's held together by gaffer's tape, so you know it's had a good life. I believe this one, I mean, I had lots of these. This is the original one though, so it must be on its at least second shutter body. Like the whole internals here twice, maybe third. I know it comes up with something nuts like 200,000 shutter actuations. When it turns on, it's not always so keen on turning on at the moment. We do still use it sometimes as a behind the scenes camera, but I don't know if you can hear this, so holding in the mic. There's some bits moving around inside it. Now, the reason I'm making this video is because from the previous one, when you see this rig here, you'll assume you probably need something like this to be able to shoot at the level I'm shooting at today, which yes, this does help me create the work I create, but let's not pretend that I wasn't creating good work before having a Cambo and before having medium format. I shot for, with this camera down here, the 5D Mark II with a 100mm lens, I shot for Premier Drums, the drum company does like Iron Maiden drum kits. I shot for Deli France, I shot for Dolmio, I shot for Papa John's, I shot for, I'm trying to remember names from back in the day, every dog food brand that Mars owns. I shot for Seeds of Change, which is like a healthy food thing. Deli France, we shot in Paris, we shot in Amsterdam, I shot in Sicily, I shot all around the world. I had an agent, I was getting global campaigns. So this is why it's relevant. And this is why I'm making this video before I frame this camera body. This setup here you can get for £450. And yes, cameras are much better nowadays. This is a GFX 100. It's a 16-bit colours. It's a medium format digital camera from Fuji. This is a beast. And I know that because last week we shot a mixture of this camera with and it's like the 45-100 zoom, and then a 5DS with a probe lens. And the difference in image quality was substantial. The difference between this and the 5DS is recognisable. But since retiring this camera body and moving to better stuff, the level of client I have hasn't changed. Granted, I get more of the bigger campaigns. Like they're shooting for Mars and they're shooting for Mars. It's not the same thing. I get more of the big ones, but I still shot global campaigns on the 5D Mark II. The actual output, and when I say output, I mean where it's going to appear. Instagram's still Instagramming. Facebook is still Facebooking. Websites are still websiting. Billboards are still the same size. Digital billboards are even smaller. They're only 1080p. You don't need much resolution for it. Not a great deal has changed. client's expectation in image quality certainly hasn't changed. I never had a complaint with this, and I've certainly never had a complaint with this. So both of these, I mean, this here costs what? It's like 1,500 for the lens, 3.5, 4, 5. This is probably like a £7,000 setup secondhand. £450, £7,000. You can't do the same thing with this as you can with this. They're very different bits of equipment. The lens is considerably better. The technical movements are very useful, and the camera is considerably better. But this is good enough, and it's £450. I got signed to my first 2 agents using this camera, not using medium format. These cameras were available. It's not like the tech wasn't there. The tech was there. I just shot on this. Mirrorless had come out when I was still shooting on this for Canon. Obviously, mirrorless was around for Sony for ages, but for Canon, it's not that old. Mirrorless Canons came out, and I was still shooting this. I was turning up on set with my own tether cables because nobody had the old school ones kicking around on their digicarts anymore because it was old. You don't need to go and spend an absolute fortune to be successful as a photographer. You can get there, and granted, when the money comes in, come and buy your cool toys. Everyone likes a cool bit of kit. You know, we do this because we love it. The reason we're in this industry is because we love the industry. And yes, some of us, myself included, we like the toys. We like all the fun stuff. We like all the bits. I mean, this lens hood is currently my favorite thing, you know, but we like having these things, and it makes us be able to do certain technical things. But when I think about it, does it matter? Maybe. I mean, for my current work, it certainly does. But if I didn't have this, I wouldn't produce my current work. I produce the work I could produce with this camera. Now, we're not going to do pixel peeping because this camera here is better in every measurable way than this camera here, apart from price. There is no comparison. It's not like, oh, how much better is it? You can spot the difference. You can tell. You can absolutely tell. Even between the 5DSR, so I've got some recent shots I can pop up here, and the Fuji GFX with a zoom lens on it, you can tell the difference. It is night and day. And editing them, this file here from this camera body is so much easier to edit. Editing one of these files is a pretty tricky cast. It's not a straightforward job. You've got to get the exposure bang on. And I'm not talking perfect exposure. I'm talking perfect exposure for the post-production you plan to do. This one, just grab a shot, you can fix it later. It's absolutely fine. With this lens here, you've got to get the focus bang on, and you're going to have to focus stack. With this lens and this camera here, you can do some cool technical movements, and you don't have to have that horrible focus stacking aesthetic. You can get it all in camera, but don't think you need one of these to do what I do today, because I got here using one of these whilst it was outdated equipment. And that, I think, is what the lesson I want to put out there is, because I see a lot of people going, well, I need to get into this, but I need this, I need that, I was shooting with this, with Bowen's lights, way before I could afford Broncolor kit. And granted, now you'll see behind the scenes, you'll see I've got the fancy camera, I've got the Broncolor lighting. It is better. It's better in every measurable way, that camera equipment and that lighting, than this and Bowen's, but I still got here doing it with this, and I could still make money doing it with this. I just choose not to because I want the best, and I want better image quality and better flexibility in post and all the rest of it. It makes my life easier, less stressful. And it does now allow me to create some stuff I couldn't create with a standard camera. And that's fun, but it's not the be all and end all of making a profession in photography.